It is here, the ultimate sim racing Nürburgring comparison video. By the end of this, you are definitively going to know which is the best sim racing game at the Nordschleife, and it could well determine which sim racing game has the most bragging rights overall, because this is a jewel in the crown. This is the best racetrack in the world, the most recognizable racetrack in the world, the most difficult racetrack in the world. And all of these sims, Assetto, Corsa, Competizione, iRacing, Gran Turismo 7 and Forza Motorsport have all included it in their game, and they are going head to head in this video. It is pure 25 minutes of unadulterated Nordschleife content, and you are going to find out which one is the best. So let's get stuck into it. We are using fresh, real-world footage here from my colleague at the Nordschleife. I've also been to the Nordschleife and driven it as well. And you can see here in iRacing, off the bat, I bet you didn't expect this. Incorrect paint lines from iRacing. iRacing is outdated on the pit exit. Gran Turismo 7 is outdated as well. Forza was okay. ACC is looking really good. But going back to iRacing, that is an out-of-date scan. You can see there's no graffiti there anymore as well. Now let's talk about curbs. This is really one of the critical things when it comes to how accurate the sim is. You want to be looking at how steep is the curb, and what is it like at the top of the curb. So iRacing doing a pretty good job there of the steepness on top. Forza doing a terrible job. Look how smooth that curb is, and look how easy it is to go to the top. They've even put a load of dirt at the top of the curb. That is really unrealistic on the inside. That means in Forza you should be attacking that curb. That's definitely not something that you can do in real life because you'll bounce the car up. Gran Turismo doing a pretty good job. So Gran Turismo beating Forza here on the inside of turn 1 already. It's not looking good for Forza, but look, by the end of this video, you are going to know which is the best sim. It could well be Forza. It could well be Gran Turismo. They're off to a good start. ACC doing an incredible job. You can see the white line really matched on the white line on the left-hand side. Also, the steepness of the curb and a little bit of ridging on top. Can you just see that little bit of ridging? I've turned off motion blur in ACC, so we've got no motion blur there. iRacing, though, very good job. Look at the ridge at the top of the curb. Look how steep the curb is. So nice job there in iRacing. And now for the first time, we're going to get a glimpse of draw distance, what it's like with the wider environment in these sims. Remember, real life footage in the top left. You can see, you can glimpse through, you can see the pit buildings in all of them. You can see sort of the grandstands ahead as well. Forza still with those very fun. Is this invented the curb on the left-hand side? Forza, what are you doing there? Whereas the curbs on the right-hand side in iRacing and Gran Turismo looking very, very, very realistic. Forza, again, is putting a lot of track objects in time trial. iRacing is really giving that accurate time trial vibe where there's not really anyone there. It's just you and the tracks. That's cool to see. A little bit of a focus now on Gran Turismo. Missing some objects. It's missing that speaker on the left-hand side. That's really important at Nordschleife in real life. You do use those for braking markers. Gran Turismo have just not got that in. iRacing doesn't have it in as well. You can see it does have the kilometer board in the distance. The curbs also looking pretty good. Forza perhaps has something hidden in the hedge, but ACC definitely has it. ACC wins this one here. It's got that speaker pole, which is a really helpful thing to have. Progressing now back with Gran Turismo 7. So there is the kilometer board. You also have this sort of steward's netting, but again, missing the pole. Look how realistic the 2 kilometer board is. Forza Motorsport has it as well. It's hidden in the hedge. Load of graffiti in Forza always. But ACC could well be a photo. So at the moment, that DLC, the £10 DLC from ACC is looking really strong. As we follow it around in Gran Turismo, look at the trees as well. You've got a really nice tree line there with the trees in the background. No pole on the right-hand side. Something that I was not expecting here. Look, no fencing in Gran Turismo 7. So Gran Turismo 7... missing a beat here, or it's out of date. There is now some catch fencing left side, but iRacing missing it as well. iRacing doesn't have that fencing on the left hand side, which does give a different feeling to this corner. It does actually affect your visibility. Forza has it, so Forza's got the fencing, and so does ACC. So iRacing feels very different on the approach into this corner compared to ACC, which is really interesting. Now we're back with iRacing. You can see just how that does affect the visibility. I told you, this is the ultimate guide. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button for me right now. You will not regret it. Got loads more of these coming. On the right-hand side, again, iRacing. What are you doing? You don't have that sort of geo-block or the artificial texture just off the top of the curb. It goes straight to the grass in iRacing. That's not what you have in real life. In real life, you almost have a trench between the grass and that artificial element, loads of rubber on the curb as well. Forza does have a pretty good representation. It's got that sort of grid geoblock, so not exactly the same texture. Maybe they couldn't get the texture for the one you have in real life, but they at least have simulated that there are cars going over the top of that curb, which will have the geoblock. Gran Turismo doesn't have it. GT7 does not have it. So, iRacing, GT7, not looking great here. ACC, it does have it on the top. I mean, doing a really nice job. Even some little daisies, and again, we have the speaker post as a little marker if you need it. So really impressed with iRacing at the moment. But let's continue with AC at the moment. Let's continue with iRacing as we go through here. Again, not the same width on the outside we had of that geoblock. This is a corner that if you've driven the Nordschleife, you'll know you just go straight over the top of it. And we do here have that texture, a very realistic texture in iRacing. And we also have that little bit of separation from the artificial geoblock and the grass. Really good job from iRacing. They needed to get this one right because you will be cutting that curb in a car. In a bicycle, you're obviously not going to do it. But when I drove the Nordschleife, I was all over this curb, I can assure you. Forza has just gone for the 2D curb again. Doesn't seem to be a lot of height on it, so you do actually have the same effect where you can cut it, but it's not really simulating it in the right way. Good job, Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo's got it as well. So this is one you can't really get away with without having that space on top of the curb, because otherwise you would really change the way people drive through here compared to what they do in real life. Got some more geoblock texture as well for you just here in ACC, so you can see they've got that really nice 3D texture where you can see into through the geoblock into the grass underneath, which I quite like. So coming up here through left-hander in iRacing, all barrel on the outside, no speaker pole. But we do have the catch fencing and the barriers. And again, look at this sort of like almost brickwork, tile work that we have in real life. This is a corner that you're going to run and use it. And that's present in iRacing. Very detailed curbs, by the way, presumably from the laser scan. Moving on to GT7, you also have that tiling, and the ending of it is important as well. Forza has it because when the tiling ends, you want to get back onto the tarmac to open up that corner. ACC does a really good job. So all of the sims, again, representing this part of the track quite nicely because it is important for replicating that real-world driving line, which I think is one of the most important things. If you're going to have your Nordschleife in your game, it's not just about having it so you're like, oh, okay, it looks like Nordschleife. It's actually, can I practice it? And before I went to the Nürburgring, I was practicing in Gran Turismo, and that just enabled me to hit the ground running when I drove it. Now we're going to come down here. You can see going over the bridge. Just going to play all four together for the first, well, three of them. We're going to have ACC, iRacing, and GT7. Forza's on the bench. Going through here, you can see the different vibes. You've got very lush in ACC, very barren in iRacing, and sort of maybe in the middle in Gran Turismo 7. But iRacing with a almost deliberately barren feeling to it, which I really like in this time trial session anyway, which is normally what I'm replicating because that's what I'll do if I go to the Nürburgring. I'm going to be driving a time trial session. Keep an eye on the curbs on the left hand side here, all of them replicating it pretty nicely. Again, more curbing on the inside. You can see pretty nice angle. That's a mean curb, not one that you're going to want to ride in a hurry. Another curb coming up on the inside. iRacing doesn't paint it for some reason. Again, contributing that sort of like desolate, post-apocalyptic sort of vibe they're going for. And you could get a glimpse into the panorama there, which was represented quite well in all the games. Kilometer boards present in all of them. And we're going to come in here for this tight right-hander when we're going to go into the forest. And you can see the gravel trap appear in all of the sims like it does in real life. They're all doing a pretty good job here. Forza, for some reason, trying to turn it into a festival. Stop it, Forza. Not everything needs to be a festival. Not a lot of graffiti in Gran Turismo 7 there. I've seen people in the comments saying that there is a lot of graffiti in Gran Turismo 7. Doesn't seem to be anywhere near the same amount as you get in iRacing. For example, Forza seem to be messing up that curb on the inside. It's amazing to see this all at this speed here. It's difficult for me to keep up, frankly, but I know you want to see it. Let's bring ACC in there. Get in here, ACC. Nice curbs on the right. Is ACC the most realistic so far? The lighting looks incredible. Forza with the 2D curb on the left there. Lots of graffiti on iRacing as we come into Adenauer. And I'm going to give you a perspective here. Brickwork on the inside. There you can see in the real life footage as well. And this is the tight entry into Adenauer. It's the corner that catches everyone out, and I just want to show you, in fact, it's caught me out in one of them here. So, this is a corner when you go to Nordschleife, everyone crashes, I tell you not to crash here. You can see iRacing doing a pretty good job. Have a look at the distance though between the barrier and the curb. It feels like there's a greater distance in iRacing between the barrier and the curb, which arguably makes it less imposing. Forza Motorsport does a pretty good job actually. The barrier feels really close. It feels claustrophobic. It feels like you're not going to be able to hit an apex there. Gran Turismo 7, looks like the camera's a little bit higher up, but maybe not quite as imposing. The curbs are very sort of bright in Gran Turismo, so you can easily pick them out. And ACC doing a pretty good job as well. Perhaps the barrier a little bit further away from the curb than you might expect. I'm not sure. And I do know now that in ACC those curves will rubber up as you go into a race session. So this is a corner where a lot of people just go straight over. Again, iRacing, the graffiti. If you love the graffiti, iRacing has just got it absolutely nailed to the T. Going over the top, more brickwork on the inside because a lot of people are going to cut over that. And we've got the kilometer board. Let's go to these three sims here. You can see the cluster of trees casting a big shadow on the track. Might be a different time of day or something, but I'm not really impressed by the shadows in iRacing, but maybe the sun is in a different direction or something. ACC does have those shadows going onto the track, which is pretty cool to see. Different lines on the tarmac there in Gran Turismo 7. You can see this corner here. There's a little bit of space on the outside. It feels like a wider space perhaps in Gran Turismo 7. We've got that pole ahead of us that was represented in all of the games. So good to see that detail because that is a marker you'll see from a long way away. But only ACC getting that speaker pole as we're going to see the 8 kilometer marker and go into this right-hander. See the compression and the curb pretty well represented in all of these so far. Forza, what are you doing? Not too bad there on the runoff curb on the inside, I have to say, but just get rid of these flags, man. That curb very flat on the inside, much flatter than you get in real life in Forza. What about on the inside, the right hand side here? Again, very flat curb. So, you know, the curbing is just not great in Forza, I think. Although it does have that sort of like deadened grass, which was quite nice as well. Now coming in here to this tight approach, sort of snaky approach, where you get a little bit, it's not really a vista, but you get to see a little bit of depth in the shot. Forza, you know, we're just going to forget about it here. ACC's got a load of tents and whatnot. Gran Turismo doing a really nice job on the approach here. iRacing doing an incredible job, I have to say. And there's Forza that just, it looks kind of doesn't, something's not really right about that for me. I'm not going to be too hard on Forza. I'm going to treat all these games equally, but I'm really impressed with iRacing on the approach. It seems to get that claustrophobic entrance right where you can press in. And it's a very tight and slow part of the circuit, actually. A little bit deceptively. Panoramas now. So you can see that big hill straight ahead of us. And have a look again at the differences between the barriers and the tracks. Those gaps are really important. On the right-hand side here, for example, looks like ACC. It feels quite wide, but that might be the camera angle. And then you get that parallax effect as you sort of go over, I think, the road underneath here. And you see the hills sort of move as well. Loads more graffiti from iRacing. Have a look on the outside. As we've got these very distinctive blocks with flags, the Poland flag. Very distinctive. iRacing doesn't have it, though. A rare missed opportunity for iRacing to add some graffiti, and they absolutely bottled it. So not sure what that's about. Some catch fencing left-hand side that I'm not sure it's there in real life because it's kind of overgrown now as all of the games are going to stretch their legs. Forza not doing a terrible job there, actually, because that is quite an inviting curb on the inside. And then we come into this deceptively tight right-hander. Very important for the Sims to get the right feel here because this right-hander is one where you feel like you can carry more speed, but then you realise you can't as you approach it. iRacing has got it nicely. Gran Turismo I'm not sure about. It seems to be very wide between the barrier and the curb on the inside there, but again, that could be deceptive. ACC's got it really nice. If you compare the ACC shot and the real world shot there, that is almost uncanny. Just the way the road sort of goes up, they really get that sensation. So I am impressed with ACC so far, but I'm also impressed with iRacing. iRacing feels a little bit more oppressive. We know by now that the track is not completely accurate in terms of some of the details, but I am impressed with the general vibe. I feel like they've gone hard on the vibe in iRacing, and I respect that. Whereas Forza just feels like, you know, this track, It doesn't feel like special like a Nordschleife. Don't know if they just invented the curb here as well. You can see iRacing doing a very good job of the bricks on the inside, which I don't think Gran Turismo has done. ACC may have them as well. But you see the barriers here represented quite nicely in all the games. This is where you really stretch the legs of your car or your bike. And it's just a really satisfying feeling that I think all of the games are translating. Nice wide tarmac. You can see there is some... should be some grass sort of like worn away on the inside where cars are nibbling away at an apex. That doesn't have a curb. There's a curb here. A little bit wider in Forza maybe. You see in real life, they're not always curbs to be messed with. That's what I like and respect about the Nordschleife is you've got these big boy curbs. Now here it gets very tight on the right hand side. Very important to feel the distance between the white line and the barrier, because it's going to affect your visibility. You see in real life, it's very close, very claustrophobic. And I feel like Forza is too wide. I feel like all of the games are maybe a little bit too wide. I don't know, that might be a perspective thing, but my hunch is that all of the games don't have that same real claustrophobic feeling as you go through this corner where you're carrying a lot of speed and you know you're going to go into a left-hander. You need to get this one exactly right. There is a little bit of patch of brickwork on the outside just here in real life. That's so critical. I'm not sure Forza did a good job there. It just seemed to be sort of like worn away. But that brickwork is something you'll absolutely aim for if you're doing the Nürburgring 24 hours in ACC or iRacing. Not something that you can do in Gran Turismo. Bit of a missed opportunity. I think we are approaching, of course, the Carousel. And if you knew that, I know you subscribe because you're a sim racing expert. Here is a 13-kilometer board here, albeit in different places, in different sims. Presumably it's being moved around. And that is why ACC, with the latest scan, has it on the outside. So a bit of a dub there for ACC. Again, way too wide, way too much space between iRacing and the barrier and the curb, I felt like, or the white line. I'm very sensitive to that because when I drove the Nordschleife, it does feel like you're so close to the barriers. And I kind of want to feel that in the sim as well to practice it. So we're on the approach now into the Carousel. This is the money maker. This is the money shot. It literally is. You're going to see here which sim is doing the the Carousel justice in terms of the actual blocks, the difference between the gradient on the flat and the blocks as well. Let's see, we go in here. So lovely shot in all of the sims. They all have that ridge. Gran Turismo's ridge feels a little bit flatter compared to what you get in ACC and Forza. You can see in real life you don't want to mess with that ridge on the inside at all. They've all got the AMG branding. Gran Turismo has it in light mode, though everyone else is on dark mode. And the blocks themselves feel pretty nicely represented. Have a look at the gap. Look at the white line in Forza compared to real life and GT7 and iRacing. Forza's got a big gap between the white line and that ridge on the inside. For me, that's quite unrealistic, and that's a very difficult corner to do. Gran Turismo's got a load of geoblock that looks like it's grass now. Grass has sort of grown through it in real life. And again, iRacing doesn't have any grass on the top. It's all artificial. So that is different from what we have in real life in the Carousel. Such a critical thing, I think, to represent correctly because it is such an unusual corner. A really unusual corner, only perhaps replicated slightly in the mini Carousel we're going to get to. But first, a 14-kilometer board as we go up the run here. And I know for a lot of people watching, this is going to be your favourite section of the Nordschleife. It is incredible to drive. We are going to be nibbling curbs now. So very important that we get the right curbs. ACC getting that one really nice on the inside. What about the curb on the outside here? Not bad. Not bad in all of them, to be honest. It's a pretty strong lineup here. You see in iRacing, I just nudged that curb. There is some flat on the top on the left-hand side. All the games getting it. Gran Turismo maybe not having it as wide as you have in real life. Forza's back in the fray. Not a bad curb on the outside there, I think, to be honest. From old Forza. As we're going to go here into the right-hander. And again, there's going to be more curbs we're going to run on and try and hit. So, into the left-hander now. Look at these curbs. On the top, do we have it? Yes, indeed. Not really sure what was going on in Forza there. Again, different colours. They got the brickwork on the outside. That was done pretty nicely. Going up over here. This isn't really one you want to nudge on the inside. It will bounce you out, and all of the games had a decent curb there. showing that ridging. And then left-hand side, we have some geo-block. Now we're going to go into YouTube Corner. So around into YouTube Corner, we all have the runoff on the outside. What is the view like? What do we have? You can see in real world, we've got that artificial brickwork or tiling or whatever. Left-hand side, that is present in all of the games. And then you can see that banking where people will congregate and they hope to see you crash, which is very exciting. You can see, look at the barriers. iRacing, you can actually see through the barriers a little bit. Oh, they've all got their own little different touches of trees on the right-hand side as well. I'm going to be very curious to see in the comments which ones you put. Let's look at the outside here on YouTube Corner. All of them doing a pretty good job. Again, Forza just sort of like has this worn away grass texture rather than the accurate artificial one. Very weird curb on the outside here on the left-hand side. Have a look at that weird curb left-hand side. Maybe ACC a little bit narrow, I'm not sure, but all the games there did a good job of replicating that unusual curb with the sort of brickwork before the curb. Access road on the left-hand side, you can see brickwork on the top on the right-hand side. All of the sims here on screen have got, which is great to see. Again, look at the difference in the barrier and the curbs here. Looks quite realistic in all of them. As we're going to go down, there is going to be a little bit of a jump. All of the games, again, doing a good job here. I have to say, even the tree line looks very accurate, just different growth on the trees. Very difficult to put all this footage together, by the way, so big thanks to my PC for not blowing up yet. And here we go. I just wanted to highlight the elevation change. And again, the difference between the distance between the curb and the... Look how wide the curb is in Forza, it appears, compared to ACC. iRacing GT is a very narrow strip curb. And that affects the way you look at this. It could be some field of view stuff going on as well. But I generally feel like the curbing structure in Forza is not amazing. But we know that by now. Let's see, going into the right-hander. Nice curb on the inside in iRacing. Very realistic in iRacing there. I feel like iRacing got the dimension of the curb. Super, super, super nice. So this is a tricky corner on the right-hand side. Very important that we get some accurate brake markers here, because it's a tricky corner to brake for, especially when you're on worn tyres. Curbing on the inside. GT's got that really nicely. So there's ACC. So there's iRacing as well. And we're about to approach the mini carousel. All the games got the catch fencing on the inside. So let's dive into the mini carousel. They've all got that brickwork on the outside there. The trees are much higher in ACC compared to iRacing. Very different feel in ACC here. Feels almost like American with tall trees. Whereas iRacing, there's no... The trees are either in a different position or they haven't grown out as much. And then we've got the mini carousel itself. I'm not sure GT7 has the colour right here. And iRacing, it seems to... ACC seems to have a really good job on the colour of the mini carousel. Little tiny curb on the inside there. And then it raises up. Did you see how it raised up in ACC as well? Really nice job there, ACC. Let's look at the curb on the inside of these sims. All done a pretty good job. And we're going to go and dodge and her under the Audi advertising gantry thing. Curb on the inside here, an important one. Replicated in all of them really, really well. And a bit of geo-block on the outside. Gran Turismo, I think, might have a slightly different texture. We're going a little bit fast now. Here is the Audi Sport Gantry. So ACC's got it exactly as we have it in real life. And we're hurtling down now. And what we want to do is look on the right-hand side for the pit complex. And when it comes into view and how detailed the buildings are. This is the tourist part of the... when you come in as a tourist and you come out again. Doing the bridge to Gantry on the tourist days. And by the way, let me know now. Start writing your comments. Which sim has impressed you the most? Which is the one that you think is just absolutely nailed? The Nordschleife. That's not iRacing in the top right. Don't know why iRacing is trying to put its logo there. That is definitely Forza. And again here, really important for there to be accurate track detailing, because picking up a braking marker here is absolutely critical. So we're going to go under the Bilstein Bridge. Incredibly modelled in ACC. Pretty good in Forza. And pretty good in Gran Turismo as well. So what have we got on the left-hand side here? Let's see. Now all the things are correct. Curb on the inside. Very flat Forza, we know that. Pretty good in iRacing. Very good in ACC. And it was decelerating the car, sort of bouncing off the curbs on either side. ACC with a really sophisticated curbing on the inside there. That was very realistic. I'm personally going to give you my honest opinion, which is, I think this could be a game changer, because ACC have beaten iRacing at their own game. The ACC track is more realistic than iRacing, and they priced it as an iRacing-esque DLC. So maybe we will see more of this in the future, and hopefully watch this other video here, and I'll see you next time.